I did not see that one coming. Toga is officially in my top 3 for My Hero Academia characters. Sorry, not sorry. Well, why would I be sorry about that? You'd almost have to be crazy not to include her in your top 3. Because, you know, she'll kill you. And when I say kill, I mean she'll love you. What's up? It's Truth Hero, and welcome back to another My Hero Academia chapter review. Today, we'll be discussing Boku no Hero Academia chapter 226 of the manga. Now, while I'll do my best to cover everything in this chapter, this video will be more theory-based. So, any minor details that I miss or that you guys want to see fleshed out more, leave a comment below and I'll participate in that discussion. But the focus of this video will be one point in this chapter, which is the revelation that Toga can not only take on the appearance of people whose blood she consumes, but also has access to their quirk, and by this, could in fact use DEKU'S quirk. Let's dive in. Right off the bat, we get some cool backstory about Toga here from a news report, which showcases her first murder. It's one of her classmates, and this sets up the concept that Toga has an admiration and affection towards blood. Much in the same way that you or I would simply kiss the ones we love, Toga instead shows her affection by sucking them. Wait. I really like how the chapter frames compatibility with society and allows us to see how people with unfortunate quirks are really cast out. Toga has an affinity for blood due to her quirk, but there is no acceptable way to indulge this admiration and pursue a successful path in society using this ability. We get a good look at how Toga was pretty misunderstood. We have her parents telling her to act normal, calling her creepy, even a deviant. No wonder little Toga masked herself until she finally couldn't take it, until she was finally tired of conforming and being normal. No one helped her, no one reached out to her, no one even attempted to understand her. She's just another disenfranchised and tragic kid neglected by society, just like Shigaraki was. And eventually, that mask and that facade cracked. And when it did, man did it shatter. Now, before we move on to the meat and potatoes of this video, which is the big revelation in this chapter, the last thing I want to mention and highlight about Toga's unfortunate past is the bird scene. As part of this flashback to her youth, Toga is seen with a bird which she then proceeds to bite and suck the blood of. If you're wondering where the face of ecstasy comes from when Toga is sucking her classmate's blood with a straw, here it is. She is a verified sociopath. Now, I know that word is often thrown around a lot to just mean crazy, but one huge indicator that a child will grow up to have sociopathic and even psychopathic tendencies is their ability to harm and torture animals without showing any remorse. So this tells me that this crazy was in Toga all along since she was born, and one day she finally just snapped. It also tells me that Toga didn't suffer some childhood trauma that led her down this path. No. It was her quirk that gave her a lust for blood, and that's why she's able to eat animals or suck the blood of her classmate without really having any feelings of guilt. However, I'm not going to call her a psychopath because psychopaths tend to never have remorse for anything. They can kill people and not have remorse. Sociopaths actually still retain some of this feeling, and the peculiar thing about this chapter was that Toga says in the end, she actually doesn't want to kill people, but she will because Shigaraki and her goals align. Now on to the possibility that Toga could use DEKU'S One for All. After Chitose gets under her skin and Toga tries to run away, Toga is very surprised that she was able to use Ochako's quirk. This leads me to believe that Toga has always had this ability, it's not a mutation, and that she simply didn't know because she never got the proper schooling for quirk development. Whatever quirk she happens to access is also natural for her to use or even involuntary if she's in a stressful situation. Using a quirk naturally will come into play a bit later. While in this state of panic and trying to survive, she activates Ochako's quirk, then proceeds to use it with ease as she makes every member of this Liberation Army squad float. But what's really important here is how Toga transformed into Ochako. Much to Kazuki Chitose's chagrin, Toga has reserves of blood that she's taken from people, one of them being Ochako, but another person being that of Deku. That's correct. In case you've somehow forgotten, or you're a Black Clover fan, in the license exam arc of My Hero Academia, Toga disguised herself as Kami Utsushimi and was able to return to the League of Villains with a drop of Izuku's blood. Remember how I said that Toga felt natural in using Ochako's quirk? That it kind of just happened? Well, if she transformed into Deku, she'd naturally be able to activate and control One For All, especially if it's in its base form without any stockpiled power. Monoma copied Deku's quirk and couldn't access any stockpiled power, so maybe you're not worried about Toga using it, but perhaps she might not need all the power from One For All. I have no doubt that even if Toga was able to control One For All and had all its power, she'd be no match for Deku and other experienced students like Bakugo and Shoto in a fight. Although she was pretty freaking badass in this one when she just dropped the whole damn army. Ladies and gentlemen, press F to pay respects to Kazuki. Also, in case you hadn't realized yet, Toga is no longer a support class. No, despite being best crazy girl, Toga would lose head on in a fight. Izuku would beat her no problem. Although knowing Toga, she'd probably just try to kiss him. But perhaps combat isn't the best thing Toga could do with Deku's quirk. For the short amount of time one drop of blood allows Toga to possess One For All, she could pass it on to a member of the League of Villains. All For One certainly knows how this process works, so if Shigaraki eats a strand of her crazy blonde hair, or rather Deku's luscious green locks, he could potentially inherit One For All. All For One, assuming he gets out of prison, or the doctor, could also help with this transferal process, and because there is no time limit like Monoma's 5 minutes of Xerox ecstasy, there's nothing to suggest that Shigaraki wouldn't retain One For All permanently. Because this quirk transfer could be permanent, Shigaraki would also have time to stockpile power with it, and through training every day, slowly approach Deku's level of ability. Oh, and if you're thinking, Shigaraki, with that skinny frame, he won't be able to handle One For All, just remember, Shigaraki has been training his body every day in fighting Gigantomachia. Dude's ready. Also, I know the One For All can't be passed on unless the holder consents to it, and Deku certainly did not give consent to having his blood being taken. But if quirks truly reside in the DNA of people, and Toga goes and drinks this drop of blood, thus transforming her DNA into Deku's, she will have consent to pass this quirk on. But what do you guys think? Can Toga, 1, transform into Deku by drinking this drop of blood, 2, actually use One For All, and 3, even transfer One For All to another person? Let me know down below in the comments. There is another thing that might come out of Toga's ability to use quirks, and that involves the Doctor and Nomu. Toga could have an unlimited supply of blood and a pool of quirks to choose from, given all the humans that the Doctor uses for experiments. Also, it doesn't really matter how much blood she takes, because she was able to battle and masquerade as Kami Utsushimi for a long period of time, and Kami was only found tired and passed out, which means it doesn't take much blood to transform and use the newly acquired quirk vigorously. And if All For One or the Doctor can take or copy the One For All quirk from Toga while she's transformed into Deku, it only takes a few seconds, so she's not going to need much more than a drop of blood anyway. Even more dangerous is that Toga could have others' blood as well. We know she has Ochako's and Deku's, but she could also have Tsuyu's blood if she cleaned the knife that she cut her tongue with, as well as more of Kami's stored away. My final thoughts. This chapter's very tragic for Toga. We not only get to see her struggle as a child, but also now as an adult in living a normal life. What is one to do when their expression of love, such a basic yet desirable and complex feeling, is not accepted by the society they live in? Also, I like that My Hero Academia is introducing two things. One, the idea that there is a fine line between normal and insane. Toga says that she has a normal life, and we can see that she's crazy. Also, the other thing is that many times heroes and villains are two sides of the same coin, and heroes just had good teachers or good friends or luck in life that didn't lead them down a bad path. Now, I'm not sympathetic to Toga, but it's apparent that she has misunderstanding and tragedy to thank for a lot in her life. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Can Toga, if she transforms into Deku, use his One For All quirk? Also, now that we know she has this ability, and she knows, what will she do with not only One For All, but any quirk that she gets? Let me know down below in the comments. If you like My Hero Academia content or these manga reviews, consider enrolling at UA today by clicking the subscribe button down below. And until next time, plus ultra.
る